1. And we should be live for the Steelers Depot live stream here on Monday, January 4th, first of the new year. As always, Dave Bryan is with me. Dave, how you doing? All right, let me try to figure out the logistics on my end because I'm having a little bit of trouble getting the stream pulled up. I think I have it now. In just a second, as always, Dave Brown and I answering any and all of your Steelers questions for the next hour from 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern Time. We are officially in the postseason, and for the first time since 2017, we have some playoff football to talk about with the Pittsburgh Steelers. So without any further ado, as a reminder, be sure to ask your questions in the chat below. Dave and I will do our best to answer it. If you want it to be guaranteed to have your question asked and answered, be sure to send us a super chat, and we'll get to that immediately as quickly as possible. But to start things off here from Mike Adesso says, "Hi guys, Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you as well, Mike. Do you think Mason should start over Ben? Just kidding. In all seriousness, I've long been a supporter of Mason, but can pocket awareness even be practiced? You can drill it, but I do kind of feel like it's one of those things that you only get better with part innate, part just kind of you're born with it, and part just experience and reps and taking your lumps." Mm-hmm. Hold on one second, Dave. There's an audio issue where people can't hear you for some reason. Try now.
Can people hear me now?
Can you guys hear Dave?
Testing 1, 2, 3. Test, test, test. Test, test, test.
All
Test,
right.
test, test.
Yeah, I see you guys' comments. Now you can hear Dave? Okay. All right. Sorry about that. I apologize. Can you
Oh, okay.
restart that?
Oh Lord, you want me to restart? No,
Well, or pick up, pick up.
yeah. The thing with Mason going back to his time at Oklahoma State, obviously with the conference and the type of offense that he
Mm-hmm.
ran, you didn't get to see a lot of him under pressure and pocket collapsing situations. A lot of times it was some RPO, a lot of RPO stuff, a lot of stuff with that ball coming out, and then on other instances max protection kind of stuff where he was throwing the football down the field to James Washington. Now I said this on the podcast this morning. Uh, I thought first half, second half he showed a little bit different ability, at least to slide out of the pocket in some instances. But a lot of times you see him now. We've seen, we've got enough tape selection on, I think, on him now. Seems like a lot of times he's dead set on getting the ball and then stepping up into the pocket, regardless of what's happening there. And
Mm-hmm.
then also, as we obviously saw on the sack. Uh, the internal clock. You got to know that you got to feel that pressure, and then know that you got to get that ball out. And then
Right.
obviously look, it was a bad blitz pickup by Benny Snell on the interception,
Mm-hmm.
but they had more than just that coming too. Yeah, I think you had a DB coming as well too. So you had a free runner in that situation on top of it. So you got to recognize, you got to do a better job recognizing what's coming. And obviously, look, I just don't think the Benny Snell poor pass protection was the cause of that. He's got to feel that. He's got to see who's coming and get rid of that football out of there. And it was just that was the difference in the ball game. Technically, was that bad decision on the interception, and then obviously the defense following it up with unable to get the red zone stop there.
Right. You don't want to make a bad situation worse. You don't want to let the poor pickup by Snell turn into something worse. You'd rather take a sack there, whatever the case was, than throw just a terrible pass that gets picked off. And as you said, really one of the, defining moments of that game. Even with the pocket presence, there are times where he's trying to move outside the pocket where it's the wrong decision. There was one in the first quarter. I just kind of started the old 22. It came out a bit ago, and it's a check down the corner. He throws incomplete, but he should have just stayed in the pocket, hit his check down immediately. Instead, he's trying to roll, drop his eyes, instead of just hitting his check down, which would have been open and would have picked up a couple of yards. Instead, the pass is incomplete. So just overall pocket presence, awareness, movement, dealing with pressure, things I don't think he's going to get a whole lot better at, but there were other encouraging signs in that game. Pushing the ball downfield, deep ball placement, accuracy, the arm strength overall. Those things I think were progress that was being made from where he was last year.
Here's the thing that we've learned, at least I've learned over the course of the last about 2 or 3 years here when it comes to quarterbacks now, especially at the NFL level. They have to have the ability to extend plays, period.
Hmm.
Now you don't want all of them bailing out of the pocket like Devlin Hodges does, or did, quite a bit. But you got to have the ability to sense, to be a pocket passer when it calls for it, and then have the ability to feel the pressure and extend the play. That's one thing on it, thinking back and looking back at some of my notes on Mason at Oklahoma State. Never really had to extend the play.
Hmm.
That's a downfall of his. Overall, look, you look at the intended air yards, you look at the completed air yards that he had. Like we said on the podcast this morning, you would have never dreamed you would have seen those kind of numbers, those astronomical numbers
Hmm.
that he posted in those areas, able to push the football down the field. But obviously, yeah, he would have to get better at the pocket presence. And the problem is, in live game action, how much more of that is he going to get right now?
Right, right, absolutely. Be sure, guys, to like the stream. Gets more people here. Would I certainly appreciate it if you could like the stream. Go on to our next question here from Mutated Genome. Alex and Dave, we've seen them open up the offense in the second half of the Colts game and throw downfield more with Mason against the Browns. What is the likelihood that Fiedner chose to implement the short passing game offense all season long in order to keep a 38-year-old Ben healthy for a playoff run and then open the offense once the playoffs begin? I don't view it as that chess, not checkers, big brain kind of move for several reasons. A, you're not going to hide stuff for an entire season just in the hope that you still make the playoffs. AFC North very competitive. Games were close. You're not trying to hide that kind of stuff. B, they did throw it out. They did throw downfield quite a bit. They just weren't successful with it. And C, the quick passing game is nothing new. Dave, as you've mentioned several times now over the last couple weeks, in 2018, Ben had one of the quickest, snap to throws in football. So this is nothing really brand new. The deep ball struggles are not brand new. The release time is not brand new. I think it's just being spotlighted more in part because Ben was coming off the elbow injury and the surgery. And so there was a big focus on how he would look overall. So you get scrutinized more, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I think just general griping, which was justified in the lack of the deep ball and why it hasn't been effective for most of the season.
And look, he hasn't been hitting on it
Right.
either. And you're not going to get the respect, if you're not hitting that kind of stuff. And that's why we saw in that Colts game when he finally did started hitting some of that. It caused those safeties to roll back into more of a too deep shell,
Mm-hmm.
at that point. Now, look, we've talked about it all season. It's not so much, there obviously have been games where Ben's intended air yards have not been where you would want it to be. But at the same token, if you look across the NFL, on a quarterback, let's say that attempts 25 to 28 pass attempts a game, how many of those are going more than 20 yards down the field?
Mm-hmm.
5, 6 a game,
That
maybe?
that's a fair question. Yeah, not every throw can be a deep ball. I think Mason was asked after the game, why didn't you do it more? And I was like, dang, they did it a lot that game. How much
Yeah,
more did you want? Every single pass?
what do you have, 8 or 9 more
Right.
than 20 yards down the field, and
Yeah.
you're wondering why you didn't do it more? I mean, look, go back, here's the biggest thing when it comes to Ben this year. It's that really that 8 to kind of 12-yard area
Mm-hmm.
more than anything else. He has been going down the field, I think, of a fair percentage amount when you look at 20 yards down the field throws. The problem is he's not connecting on them. And then obviously you go back to that game against the Bengals there. He had like 13 or
It's
14
like
throws
1 of 14, right?
more than 10 yards down the field, and he only hit one of them, and that was the
Mm-hmm.
touchdown to Deontay. Look, make no mistake about it, folks. And I just look for S and G's back at some next gen stats looking at wild card winners and what the winning quarterback average intended or average completed air yards distance was. Here's some numbers for you of the teams that won the wild card rounds of the playoffs the last 2 seasons, Alex. Here
Hmm.
are the uh, completed air yard averages. We'll start with last year. The Texans, 7.3. The Vikings, 7.6. The Seahawks, 9.9. The Titans were the kind of the odd person out in that playoff game last year. 3.6 completed air yards. Probably not surprising with that running game and the small ball that Tannehill plays. You go back to 2018. The winning wild card teams and their average completed air yard distances. Colts with Andrew Luck, 9.
Mm.
Cowboys, 5.8. The Eagles with who was that?
Is that Nick
Uh,
Foles or Wentz?
was that Wentz or Foles? 2018. Was that Foles? I forgot to look. 6.1. And then the Chargers with Rivers, the odd man out, 2.7.
Mm.
So that just if you take the averages of all this, you can see that boy, you bet if you want to win a playoff game, a wild card playoff game, to have a good chance, your completed air yard distance probably better be 7 and 6 or 6.5 to at least 6.5
Hmm.
yards down the field. So yeah, Ben's going to have to push the football down the field and connect, and that doesn't mean 20 yards at a time. It just means further than 5 yards past the line of scrimmage on average.
Right, gotcha.
How's that
That
for research?
Yeah, that's really good stats. Are you gonna have a post about that or something later in the week to put that out
We'll
there?
see. You know how scatterbrained my mind goes.
I
We'll see.
gotcha. Got a super chat here from Paul Brown. Says, Alex, would you do a Twitch live stream for a game? If I did something live, it would be on YouTube, not Twitch. I'm not on Twitch too often, have an account, but I don't post anything there. Just occasionally watch some people's videos. It's just really chaotic during Steelers games, so I probably wouldn't do it for something Steelers related. Maybe for a Super Bowl or some random game or combine potentially. But even that, we're pretty busy doing Steelers stuff. So maybe something like that, but nothing in the immediate plans right now for you, Paul. Next question here comes from Lucky1729. Has kind of a question comment. Steelers will stop Browns in the playoffs. The question is by how much? He predicts a 41-17 blowout. I'm not going to
Ooh,
go
that'd be
nearly
nice.
that far, but I'm rooting for it, Lucky. He also says, and you won't like this one as much, will the Steelers ever fire Randy Shovel Pass Fietner? Someday, but not today.
There will come a time where Randy Fichtner is not the offensive coordinator of the Steelers. How's that?
There you go. I like your odds of that one. Live Loyal says, gentlemen, I thought the team played pretty darn well considering who didn't play. That one long touchdown run by Chubb was tough to swallow, though. How do you guys feel about this team going into Sunday? Yeah, we'll keep breaking it down, evaluating it. We'll see who's healthy, who's available on each side of the football, both team dealing with some COVID and some injury type stuff, but certainly stopping the run, stopping Nick Chubb, keeping this Browns team off schedule is going to be some of the major keys. This run defense has degraded throughout the year. I know Sunday they were without, Hayward and Watt, but it is not like it's been as good as it was the first half of the season after you lost Devin Bush and Bud Dupree, and just guys seem to be more worn down, and the Browns really have a strong rushing attack. So that is the biggest cause for concern in this one, for me at least.
You're gonna have to find a way to take that football away.
Yeah, did not do it
At least
Sunday.
once.
Yeah, did not do it Sunday. They were -1 in turnover differential, and that -1 was one of the big differences in the game, as you highlighted earlier with the Mason interception.
Mm-hmm.
As the last style bender, do you really expect Ben to come out of the first half and start throwing touchdowns? No, he's never had and won't this time. Defense needs to stop Chubb. They do have to stop Chubb, and yeah, this offense has to get off the quicker starts. One offensive touchdown the last 10 first quarters, none in the last 7. That is not going to be a recipe for success in the playoffs. Let's see. Nicholas McKay, I think just more of a general comment here. While Mason's pocket awareness wasn't amazing, it seemed like he definitely improved. So one play I thought he improved was when he escaped the collapsing pocket and threw to Juju for a first down. Not entirely sure what play that was. It was a great crosser to Juju on third down. I don't think he had to escape pressure on that one. But yeah, there were certainly improvements from Rudolph in that game. That's why he was on my winners list.
What about that early kind of slant? Who was it to Claypool over on the left hand side where he had to wait for that
Mm-hmm.
window to open there?
Yeah, I have a post going up on that in the morning. Really, the focus on Claypool and the release that he used. But yeah, that was good patience and a good throw and a big third down conversion. Ultimately, didn't do anything with it, but still a good play nonetheless.
We saw a lot of good things out of Mason.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, if you're looking on a game in, game out basis, and different teams dialing up pressures and all like that, the biggest issue where you would run into problems with him, at least until we get another larger sample size, which we probably never will, would be pressure numbers over time, blitz numbers and stuff like that. Obviously gets, you would hope that uh, he's really the way he holds the football. Obviously, the snap to release time with him was a lot longer than
Mm-hmm.
Ben's. What was it, like 2.3 or something? 2.4.
With Ben?
No, with Mason yesterday in
Well,
that game.
Ben is like 2.3 on the season, so that'd be one of the quickest. So I imagine it was
You know,
probably
I'm trying to
2.6,
maybe
2.7.
2.5. I don't remember. I'll look that up there. But obviously the pressure and feeling the pressure, just the whole kind of pocket thing. Sometimes it looks like by the time he's deciding to get that football out, sometimes it almost feels like he's up on his tippy toes too, because he's really throwing over top of pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, uh, at least that's what it's kind of felt like when going over all of his tape now, and we've got enough on him now. For the longest time it's like, okay, let's get him through a good portion of last season and all like that. And look, he had a good leave-off point, I thought, against the Jets last year when he got hurt, and technically I guess this is his first really extended play since then. So I mean, we got a pretty decent 5 quarters on him now in a row, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, there was that short stint against the Cowboys, but in terms of extensive action, yeah, the last two outings have been, positive.
2.61
Okay.
time to throw.
Yeah, a little bit longer. That's still about an average number, I'd probably say overall, but obviously much longer than Ben, which was about 2.2, 2.3. Let's see. Next question here. Mike Adesso, Dave, you posted a good question the other day showing the pending free agents for the Steelers this offseason and asking which one would we pick, or we would pick. I chose Hilton. What's yours, Dave? What's yours, Alex? The one free agent you could keep if you had your choice. Who would you take, Dave?
If the cap
Yeah.
and all would play along, and I could get in a situation where I could do it. Oh man, it would definitely be down to Juju or Mike Hilton. The thing
Mm-hmm.
about it is Mike Hilton is getting a little on. You kind of wonder which one can do it, could possibly sustain it on a new deal longer.
It's true.
That would have to go into it, and it's no slight against Mike Hilton either. I
How old
just
is he? 26?
just a little bit older, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, he came in first or second year with Pittsburgh, and he was originally with Jacksonville. Juju's still 24, of course, and
He is
so
26. He'll be
okay.
27 in March.
All right, so essentially 27 for the start of next season.
Right.
Yeah, and Juju's 24, won't be 25 until next November. That might be the difference. I mean, you can't go wrong with any of those, either of those options. Hilton's just that
I
unique guy where he just gives you so much flexibility with your personnel, your formation, your matchups that very few guys can do.
The thing is, how often are we talking about? I mean, look, stopping the run and blitzing and all is fantastic, and he's obviously one of the best in the league, if not the best in the league, when it comes to slot defenders like that. But in raw coverage situations, you know,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look, you go back to kind of earlier in the year on against the who was it, the Broncos, on the one where you got flat-footed on in that game. Once again, yeah, I think you're splitting hairs here, but I think the one's going to deliver you more. Obviously, one's going to cost you 4 million, 4 million more per season than the other one, more than likely, if not more.
And that's Juju costing
Right, and
more.
that's Juju average per year. But I think you would get a longer potential return on your investment of 70 to 90 catches a season and some touchdowns out of them that way. Obviously, some blocking, the physicality and all goes with it. So it's a tough question. And look here, if they do, that's my choice. What's your choice? What's your choice,
Yeah,
Alex?
so you're going Juju?
Yeah, I'd go
All
Juju
right,
too.
I'll go Hilton to put it this way. The Steelers are bad at drafting cornerbacks. They're really good at drafting receivers. I like their odds of replacing
That's another
Juju
fair point.
better than Hilton. And just for the record, even though I think Juju's a good answer, if they do resign him, they do pay him, better run some deeper routes with Juju. I'm not paying a guy 15, 16 million to average 8.3 yards per catch. As good as that is and as valuable as that is, I got to get something more than that.
They're depending on what the cap comes in, and we're guessing. And look, if any of you are into listening to podcast, Joel Corey has that cap podcast that he does once a week. The last two episodes are absolutely fantastic. One of them, in fact, focuses on Ben Roethlisberger's contract and
Hmm.
what's coming up with that. So if you get a chance, listen to that. But within that episode there, Joe Corey says what I've said. Anybody trying to make you believe that they know what the 2021 cap number is going to be league wide right now is pulling your leg right
Mm-hmm.
now. It's just all speculation right now. That's why Joe Corey is basically saying, look, yeah, you need to assume until we hear otherwise that it's going to be 175 million. Obviously, the best case scenario would probably be it coming in flat at 198.2 million dollars. So that's a big gap, obviously, between 175 and 198.2 million. The higher that cap number is, more than 175 million, the more likely the chances the Steelers have at retaining one or two of these unrestricted free agent types. And I've laid out a contract where Juju can get fair market value, and his cap hit only be about between $6 and $7 million in 2021. Obviously, Mike Hilton wouldn't cost as much average yearly value, so his first year cap hit probably be more in the neighborhood of $3 or $4 million. You could probably make it work, but the fact of the matter is, you have to know what number you're dealing with, league wide cap. Are you dealing with 175, which makes it next to impossible to do that, or are you dealing with 198.2, which makes it a little bit more feasible?
Right. I saw one team today. I forget which. It was reported, or they outright said that they're assuming it's 175, and anything else higher than that is a bonus, and that's probably the only approach you can take right now.
Yeah, so find me that tweet and send it to me.
Yeah, I'll pull that up after the stream. Junior Zavatin says, if Filer comes back for the Browns game, do you start him over Dotson? I
No,
do I
no.
don't. The question is, do you start Filer over a core four? I probably still don't, although I wouldn't hate the move, but I think I just keep it as is. Just given the lack of reps that he would have there.
Oh, Vin Scully's passed away.
Has he?
Yeah,
That's
it says
confirmed.
sad news. Sandra Scully, beloved wife of
Mm.
Dodgers Hall of Fame announcer Vin Scully. Oh no, his wife announcer
Oh,
passed away.
well,
Okay,
that's still very
I
tragic,
read
of
it
course.
wrong. Whew.
Okay, that's still very sad.
Uh, that is very, very sad. I think I've seen her do an interview, before. Yeah, I apologize for that. It says Sandra Scully,
Mm.
the wife of Vince Scully's
Yeah.
a masterpiece, isn't he?
Icon, absolute icon for sure. You don't have too many good those voices anymore. You just don't have that,
Oh,
and he's certainly one of them. Very sad for him and his family. To get back to the questions here, I just lost my place. We're talking about a core four and Filer. I think Filer is going to be on the bench to start after missing time. Ryan Glazer, do you think they continue to throw deep and downfield more with Ben next week? I think that's the intent. I think that's been the intent for large portions of the season, just dictated by coverage. And it's like the run game. It's got to be about effectiveness, not just how often you do it. Destiny Collins, I hope we get Rob Spillane back. He's our best coverage linebacker. Yeah, I think he'll be able to return. He was obviously eligible to return for the Browns game. Was not, the window was not open. He did not practice. Hopefully that'll change for this week. Tomlin should be able to talk about it some tomorrow. And if they can have some sort of three-man rotation with Williams, and Spillane, that would, and then Marcus Allen and Dime, that would be a boost for this defense.
we should learn by Wednesday before Wednesday practice starts. I guess we'll learn it either from Tomlin on Tuesday or once the transaction hits, because they have to announce the windows opening up, the 28-day windows opening up for, or 21-day windows opening up for these players coming off IR there. So if we don't hear anything by the time practice starts on Wednesday, that's probably a no-go. And I would think that Spillane, we hadn't heard anything on Filer,
No.
in a few weeks. But I would think, just judging kind of by the way Tomlin led on, that potentially maybe Spillane has a chance. And I think Keith Butler even mentioned his name last week when he talked to me there. So keep your fingers crossed. And as Alex and I talked on the podcast this morning, even if Spillane is active and suited up, ready to go, he's probably not going to play 65 snaps for you. So
No.
it'd be some sort of rotation in there.
For sure. Good old McSplain, as Butler calls him. Makes me laugh every time. Jeremy Coke.
Dadgummit.
Butler's got some good quotes for sure.
It sure does.
Jeremy Coakley, I have a gut feeling James Conner is going to have a big game. I hope you're right, Jeremy. What's Matthew Wright's long distance range? Hey, I hope we don't have to find that out. Hopefully Boswell can play. He showed leg, though, against the Browns on Sunday, 246 yarders with room to spare. I mean, it just depends on conditions. Open end of the stadium, kicking at Heinz Field instead of kicking at Cleveland. For this weekend, I would probably say his max, and again, it depends on conditions, is about 50. But he showed an impressive leg, and playoff adrenaline would probably give him an extra little boost.
You know, some of James Conner's best games have been against the Browns, haven't they?
Yeah,
Couple of
I
them,
mean,
right?
and yesterday wasn't terrible. He had to create, but I mean, he averaged about what? About, was it 5 yards a carry? 4 yards a carry? I think about four.
I'll have to
Wasn't it
pull
nine
that
for
up.
37? That's a number that's rattling around my brain right now, which would be just over 4 yards a pop. Mike Adesso, does Derek Watt offer enough on special teams anymore to even take up a game day spot? I'd rather dress Dobbs or Raider. Yeah, Watt offers still enough on special teams, kick and punt coverage unit, and he does a pretty good job there. But that's probably about all he's giving you right now.
9 for 37.
All right, so yeah, just over 4 yards a carry. Mark Brophy, Raider with a drop pass. If Ebron is green lighted, Raider back to the taxi squad. You said that Raider reverted back today, right?
Yeah, he all four of them did. Deion
All right.
Kane, Matthew Wright, Raider, and Anthony Coyle all reverted back to the practice squad today.
Gotcha. Yeah, Raiders' hands. I think the one camp I had him down for like 5 drops in one training camp, so his hands not too good, but as a blocker, I thought he did a nice job in limited action. That's what
Yeah,
Double
look,
HH
when I
says.
was pumping this guy up all throughout the season, talking about how he it's been solely based on him being a blocker. It's
Mm-hmm.
nothing to do with him being a pass catcher.
Absolutely. Sean, American Patriot says, hello, Alex and Dave in chat, Steelers Nation Virginia chapter. Thank you for being here, Sean. Thank you to everybody who is sitting in the chat, nearly 100 people. Really appreciate it. Again, we're here for another half hour answering any and hopefully all of your guys' Steelers questions. Santizo Type R, why do you think the team doesn't utilize Derek Watt? I think Steeler fans like Derek Watt a lot more than the actual Steelers staff. It's not been effective with him on the field, and sometimes that's situational if they're not having many 3rd-and-1 type moments or goal line type moments, which really was the case Sunday. They're not going to be enough opportunities to have a Derek Watt. They were down 2 scores in this game. They were down multiple scores, down 17 versus the Colts, times where you're not going to use a fullback very often.
Right, and it goes back to if you put him on, who you pulling off?
Right. That as well.
That's that. Do you want Claypool to come off because that's more than likely who's going to draw the short straw in some situations like that. It's got to be more situational, and as Alex has said so far, which we probably been 50 snaps this season in total, and how many has he actually lined up as a true fullback on in those, and how many of those have been runs. We just don't have a lot of tape on him in those situations with the Steelers, and on top of it, the results haven't been good so far. So unless you get the ideal situation is you get up 2 scores in a game,
Mm-hmm.
and then you throw him and Connor out on the field, and you just run the bejesus out of the ball out of 21 or 21, 22 personnel moving forward. But heck, that seems like impossible to even get in that situation a lot of this year.
Bradley Corey says, so Sutton starts at cornerback. Yeah, assuming Hayden does not play, Sutton will start at left corner, as he did Sunday. John Pennington, Dave and Alex, after watching Mason play and the problems he has under pressure in the pocket, do you think it's time the Steelers draft a more mobile quarterback to keep up with the league? That's a topic you've addressed many times, Dave, and assuming that Rudolph is not considered the heir, because he shouldn't be, to bad the next quarterback they draft needs to have more mobility. That is just the way the league is going right now.
If you're listening to this and you're so afraid that Mason Rudolph's game that he played against the Browns on Sunday is going to result in him possibly being considered the heir to Ben Roethlisberger, you're chasing your tail around and being scared with no reason. Because as we talked about on the podcast this morning, Mason Rudolph's contract expires after the 2021 season. You have to think there's no reason to think that Ben's going to retire after this season or get cut. There's no evidence to suggest either one of those things happening. So Now Mason's probably shown him enough to at least be the backup to Ben Roethlisberger in 2021. And then after the 2021 season, Mason's going to look because the Steelers just don't pay backup quarterbacks any money. All right. Either Mason's going to have a market or he's not. It's going to be the old Landry Jones situation a few years ago. There, either they'll get him back to be a number two-ish, three-ish type guy at close to $1 million, or he walks and he finds a team willing to pay him 3, 4, 5 $1 million to be a backup for them. I don't think many people at this point need to worry about Mason Rudolph being on the Steelers roster in 2022. Period.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. Let's just see how the next season goes. I mean, there would be a scenario maybe that happens if Ben's 2021 is his final year, and you just want to bring Mason back to have some known guys in that room. But
But what are you going to sign him for? You know,
well, yeah, I mean, what
you're
better
going to be compete. You're
opportunity?
going to competing with a market. You know.
Yeah, well, it's not. What market is there going to be for Rudolph? It's going to be
Well, I mean,
light.
the Steelers would be at the bottom end of whatever that quarterback market is for him.
Yeah,
If
but
you
he
know,
would have the best. His best opportunity would be to stay in Pittsburgh because he knows the system. They know him, and it would be a wide open quarterback spot there. He's not like he's going to be given a starter chance, probably a wide open one anywhere else.
yeah, I don't think. I mean, unless it's a 1 year, you're not going to commit any long term money to
No,
him.
yeah, you're not going
You
to
know.
throw a bunch of money at him, but I think you'd probably bring him back to some contract, 1 or 2 year type deal. I don't know. It's a long ways away though, and a bridge will cross whenever the time comes.
I'll say this, I still, and I've said this all along, I don't think the Steelers are going to draft a quarterback in the first, second, or third round in
Hmm.
2021. So
I'm with you.
if you're if you listen to this and you're hoping for that, personally, from where I sit right now, I don't think that's going to happen. I think you're going to more look toward drafting and or signing a free agent on top of that in 2022. I find it hard to believe that now could they potentially, because look, I think Joshua Dobbs' contract is up after this season, so I don't know. Do you maybe take a flyer on a fourth, fifth round guy or whatnot to be a to add to the quarterback room? I suppose. I mean, just why not just re-sign Joshua Dobbs for
Hmm.
the minimum,
Yeah.
or Devlin Hodges for the minimum or something like that. But from where I sit right now, and I guess you agree with me, Alex, is I if you I don't see him drafting the quarterback in 2021.
Yeah, I do not, unless Ben were to suddenly announce his retirement, which I do not think is going to happen. Don't think anyone does at this point. Double HH, why can't Bugs and Davis be nasty on the field like they were on the sideline, just asking for a friend? Yeah, they didn't get a chance to play much at all. They combined probably played for about 17, 18 snaps, and Bugs has been a big disappointment this season. He's talented, but I think he's had some weight issues, some assignment, above the neck type issues, and that's kept him in sweats, unfortunately, most Sundays. Suleiman Jelani says, "Hey, Dave and Alex, outside the running game, do you think the only team that can beat the Steelers is the Steelers? The games the Steelers lost, I thought were self-inflicted wounds. Certainly, they're a talented team. They find ways to lose themselves, whether that's with turnovers or occasional penalties or red zone inefficiency and just drops, all those drops over that losing streak. So that's been a big component of it. They're a very talented team. Sometimes they get in their own way, though, unfortunately.
They've got a good enough defense to make it all the way to the Super Bowl. It's just can the offense come along for the ride?
Mm-hmm.
Because there's going to be at least 1 or 2 games where they're going to be asked to put up 24, 28, 30 points. And you just you wonder if they can do that right now. And as I mentioned, a couple questions ago, they more than ever during the playoffs, you've got to have the ability to push the football down the field. You cannot count on catch short, run long for your explosive plays in the play. Maybe you can do it for one game, but you're not going to be able to do it for the entire ride there. So it goes back to everything else. You gotta win the turnover battle as is in any game, and you damn sure better be putting up at least five or more explosive plays of 20 yards or more.
DSCNT, what's the availability status on Hayden and Denzel Ward? Are they out for Sunday night? Hayden's basically all but out. I guess there's maybe a chance, but very, very unlikely. Ward has a better chance to come back, but I don't know for sure where his situation is just because he was ruled out before Hayden was, so he's got a better chance, but I don't know his status right now.
He was placed on the COVID list on the 31st. Denzel Ward
A
was.
Thursday? Is that a Thursday?
That was a Thursday.
Okay, so 10 days. He's right on the line. Like, he could get activated Saturday to Sunday. He wouldn't get the practice, but, they'll take him without practice if they can get him on the field, I'm guessing.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Russ Obenstein, what's up, Alex and Dave? Good to hear from you, Russ. We saw some good things yesterday. TJ's in. Baker doesn't get loose. Yeah, there was another person that asked about, giving up containment to Baker, letting him run. You can't allow that to happen, certainly. This next time around, you can't break or let him break contain. You got to have better rush lane integrity, so that'll be something to monitor. Monitor. Obviously, having TJ Watt back is going to help in that regard, but it's not going to guarantee it either. Nick Vallow, have they talked about the Browns missing Vernon? We have not, but the Browns did lose Olivier Vernon for the season with a torn Achilles. He had a sack yesterday, and part of that really talented Browns front, so that's certainly a loss for Cleveland.
That is a big loss for them, for sure. He had 9 sacks, I think, on the season, second on the team in sacks, even for his age, which I think he's, 29 or 30. Very disruptive. And they will miss him, obviously against the Steelers, and should they advance, it's going to obviously hurt them. But that's a big loss for them. And I think the other injury note for them, obviously, is Donovan Peoples-Jones is in the concussion protocol. I think it's too early to tell whether or not he's going to play Sunday.
Jeremy Coakley, will Nelson travel with Jarvis Landry? I doubt it. He didn't travel yesterday. The Steelers really haven't traveled in a long time. Landry lines up all over, so don't think they're going to be doing any traveling on Landry. Maybe outside of a specialty third down type thing, but even then, don't count on it. Scrolling through here for another 20 minutes or so. Russ Obenstein, will you guys do any post-game after playoffs? Not entirely sure what you mean about that. Russ will certainly be covering what happens with the Browns game, even though it'll be late on Sunday night, whether it's a win or a loss. Let's see. John Pennington, Dave and Alex, do you guys think the Steelers didn't use Dobbs' skill set, but they tried to make him fit into a system that was built for Ben? Only the same for Mason and Devlin. Maybe that's a true problem to an extent, but you're not going to alter your scheme too much for Dobbs, whenever you have Ben. So, they obviously ran with him yesterday, had a package for him put in there, so they're adjusting to his skill set. But, you can only do so much to get him reps and put stuff in your playbook that fits well to Dobbs, who, dressed for, one game the entire season. That was Sunday. Let's see. David O with an interesting stat. Mason Rudolph is now 20th overall on Steelers' all-time passing yards with 2,089. He just edged out Charlie Batch. That's a very good stat, David O. Very nice. I thought Charlie had more than that in Pittsburgh.
I thought he did too. Who knew?
Yeah, very good stat of the weird there, David O. This is a question from Vea T. Is lack of containment of Baker's running we saw a concern? It's something to watch. Hopefully, again, having Watt back will help, but that's going to be certainly something you have to pay close attention to Sunday night.
You better stop Chubb first, and then if Baker wants to run, you need to pop him. You know, the way Dobbs got popped.
Yeah, he did get hit. No, get the helicopter one, the Elway type thing. Yeah. Andres Ross Aces, can't overlook the Brownies. The Steelers lost against the Bengals. Got to stay humble and focused. I promise you, it's postseason. No one's overlooking anybody right now. This is survive and advance for all the marbles. You're not assuming anything right now. No team is. Double HH, we need to hermetically seal TJ, Cam, Intuit, and Ben for the playoffs. Yeah, bubble these guys up as much as possible. That's got to be the approach for all these guys here in the postseason. Corey, yes, with an interesting question. Was Mason's steep throw to Deontay the best steep throw by a Steelers quarterback this year? Can you name a better one? Nothing against Ben, obviously, but dang, that was a nice throw. The only one that might rival it, I mean, the touchdown to I was going to say Broncos, Claypool, but also the touchdown to Deontay against the Colts was a pretty nice throw and catch as well. But that was the throw to Deontay for 41 yards was a great placement by Mason. One of the best deep balls of the year for Pittsburgh, no doubt. Steel Dictate predictions. This is a cap-related thing. Ben Roethlisberger, 1 or 2 year contract extension, which spreads to $41 million he will be making in just year 1 next season into 2 or possibly 3 years. Bud Dupree transition tagged. Any thoughts on the predictions there for Ben and Dupree?
I've got a full post up that breaks if people want to take time to read it. I keep referring back to it's if you search Steelers Depot for Ben cap Just Ben and Cap, I think. If you search in the search feature there, I've got all those different scenarios regard. Can you pull that up, Alex?
Yeah, I just always search Ben scenarios, and that one
Right.
I think comes up. Roethlisberger scenario, yeah, because I refer to that to people. Someone asked me the other day about possibilities, and I sent them the link. I'm assuming this is the article that you're referring to from back in August that I'm pulling up now. That'll appear on
Right.
screen for you in a second.
Look, plain and simple. They've got to do something. He is due a $15 million roster bonus in the middle of March, 3 days after the start of the new league year. Okay, he is scheduled to earn 19 million. People look at that. They keep saying the 40 something million, 41 million is his cap number. All Ben is scheduled to make and put in his pocket in 2021 is 19 million. The rest of that 40 something million is past bonus proration. That's already in Ben's pocket. That 20 something million stays in the 2021 column. End of the story. You cannot move that around. So the only money, the only money that you have a chance to play with is the $15 million roster bonus and a little less than $3 million of his $4 million base salary, because his minimum base salary has to be, because of him being a vested guy, I think it's 1.075 million in 2021. So what do you do there? He has no extra years on his contract past 2021, so you can't stretch anything out. So you'd have to probably put up some dummy years or something like that on the end of it. You'd have to take that 15 million roster bonus, almost 3 full million of the 4 million, turn that into a signing bonus if he's up to it. And this is only if Ben's up to just saying, look, I'll play 2021 and that's it. I'm done. After that, you can create these false years all you want on the back end. Just make sure I get my I just can't make sure you give them 19 million
mhm.
that I'm due. Now, obviously, if you're building in years that are actual going to be contractual years, well, then that comes into the negotiation. There's going to have to be extra signing bonus money on top of it. So that's how your hands are tied. But if you'll take your time, this post that Alex has pulled up right now, and go paragraph by paragraph with this, you'll see all of the options that the Steelers have. Also, I just mentioned that Joe Corey in his latest podcast has a half an episode, about 10 or 12 minutes worth, I think, related to the options that the Steelers have with Ben. It's really kind of a verbal recap, if you will, of what I just laid out here in this post there. So, it depends. They could absolutely add 4 false years onto Ben's contract, take the 15 million and then another almost 3 million, almost 18 million dollars, and then divide it up by 5, and then kind of lower his cap that way. But even so, you're not talking about a lot of huge savings overall there.
Good breakdown. Yeah, be sure to check out that post. Let me go back to the top. It's called "Looking Ahead at 2021: Ben Roethlisberger Contract Cap Cutting Scenarios." We'll be referring to that for several more months, I'm sure, until an extension gets done or whatever decision gets made occurs.
And it's got to happen by the middle of March. Something's got to
Right.
happen if they're going to do anything with his contract. Once again, it's going to happen. Really, more than likely, it's going to happen by the time to start a new league year, and usually stuff like that with Roethlisberger happens around his birthday, right? Which is
Hmm.
the first part of March there. So we're going to get our answers with what they're going to do with Roethlisberger and his contract by the middle of March, because that is when his $15 million roster bonus is due to him. And if they're going to mess around with that, then that's what needs to be done by then.
K. Jackson, Pittsburgh. Did Rudolph's play change your mind about a potential replacement as Ben's successor? No, I think Rudolph was encouraging. There was progress. Maybe you have a little bit more comfort about him as a backup, but not about Ben as being an heir or potential franchise quarterback. Did not sway me.
Yeah, he must have missed the talk that we just had there. Look, I mean, the likelihood of Mason being on the roster past 2021 is really low. So, uh, you know, I, I don't think that's going to be the route that they end up going. It was nice to see Mason have
Hmm.
a good
Sure.
game, and as we just said, he's got probably a good 5 consistent kind of quarters underneath him right now, and God, obviously we don't want to see any more of him the rest of the year if we can help it, unless it's a couple of kneel downs and some playoff time or something along those lines. But I have a feeling that they're going to go with him as their backup quarterback to Ben Roethlisberger in 2021.
I do too. Todd Williams, hello guys, wishing you and the families blessed 2021. Thank you, Todd. Same to you. Was it me or did Sean Davis look better than Terrell Edmonds? I wouldn't agree with that assessment. I think Edmonds has had a pretty underrated season. His tackling's been excellent. His run support's been strong, and I'm excited that hopefully he can play against the Browns on Sunday night. Don't know that for sure, but hopefully he can. Saloon, I always say your name wrong. I apologize, but thank you for being here. Says, evening, guys. Any thoughts on how Pierre and Lane played yesterday, except for the long pass to Higgins? Less bad at passes, if any, for Mason yesterday than with Ben. Any thoughts? Lane did well in special teams as a cover corner. That route he gave up to Higgins for 40-something yards was not impressive. Pierre, I don't know if Pierre was targeted at all. He played in second half snaps, but good for them to get some experience, some reps. But I don't trust Lane in coverage a whole lot right now. Let's see. Do you think the Steelers will re-sign Juju? I hope so. Let's see what that cap number comes in at. But I'm still probably a little bit more optimistic than Dave is on that. But see what the cap number is and kind of go from there is my approach right now.
Here's the other thing with it: you're not going to franchise tag him, right? So you have until the start of free agency, the middle of March, to get him done. All right, and then obviously before that, you've got a lot of work to do, regardless if the cap number is 175 million or 198.2 million. There is still a lot of work to be done. We've already talked about Ben. You go ahead and write it down right now, so you can pat me on the back later. Cameron Hayward's going to be one of the first restructures that's done right out of the chute here, because of the way the way his roster bonuses and all are set up with him too. So that's one way to save a little bit of money there in February or March is to quickly get restructure done on Cameron Hayward. You're going to have to. Any cap casualties are going to have to happen pretty quick. It might be a few more than what people count on that happening. And once again, they're going to have to do a lot of work and just to get to a spot where they can get Juju done. And Juju would obviously have to get done before the start of the new league year in the middle of March. If not, then he becomes obviously a unrestricted free agent. And if you look at Juju's numbers, it's tell me I'm wrong, Alex. $16 million a year is a starting point with Juju, right?
Yeah, I think that's accurate.
Okay. People have been telling me I'm wrong on that, but I don't think I am.
I think you're right. Mike Chickens, the super chat, $5. Thank you so much, Mike. Feeling crazy confident this week. I truly believe Baker blows this game and Steelers cover. Hoping you're right. We'll see. Browns, I mean, how many of those guys have played in the playoff game before? Very few, I'm guessing. So that'll be, foreign to them, but they've waited through this first year, this pandemic type year with Stefanski, a new head coach. They've done a good job. We'll see what happens.
Hooper's obviously played in a playoff game for them, right?
Was it Atlanta?
For Atlanta, right?
Yeah. Was he 28-3? He was in that 28-3 game, right? He knows about blowing Super Bowls. So I mean, I'm sure a couple guys have. I can't think of any. I can't think of other names off the top of my head right now, but I'm sure someone has. It can't just be Hooper. I don't think, right? Maybe.
What about Adrian Claiborne?
Yeah, Claiborne's probably done some stuff. He was in Tampa? I don't know.
He was in Atlanta in 2019.
Was he Atlanta too?
He was with New England in 2018.
Okay. All right. So, yeah. But it's a short list. I mean, the Steelers have a lot of guys who haven't made the playoffs before, but it's a lot longer list than the Browns. So that's something to at least take into account. Jai K, is there any possibility Hayden or Ibrahim will be back for the game? Hayden, very unlikely. Ibrahim could. He's close contact right now. You can return in 5 days from that. So provided he does not test positive, he should be back at some point during the week. Be ready for Sunday. But if he does test positive, then that's going to rule him out for sure. So chance for Ibrahim and Marsh to come back. Don't count on Hayden being available Sunday. Let's go back up here. A couple more questions. About 10 minutes left in the live stream. Thank you guys for being here, hanging out with us, asking some great questions. Today, let me try to find where my last starting point was. K. Jackson, Pittsburgh. Do you guys believe the Steelers can make a successful playoff run without a run game? I think it's really, really hard unless you have one of those tier one type quarterbacks, Russell Wilson, Patrick Mahomes. I think it's really hard to do. At some point, it's going to come back and bite you.
Yeah, there's going to have to be a game or two in here where we go, man, I can't believe they ran for 140 yards.
Right.
You know, you got to pick me up off the floor if that happens. But look, it's not unthinkable. Obviously,
I
I
would love to
don't
know the
feel.
last team that won a Super Bowl without really any semblance of a run game.
What would you call a semblance of a run
Yeah,
game?
I don't know how I would define that. A game where they didn't have more than, I don't know, 75 yards on any of their playoff games and didn't average, success rate. I mean, it'd be harder to research if you do success rate and stuff like that, but just something
Right.
to that effect. Maybe Tom Brady when they're Kevin Falk days, they just threw the ball every single time, but I'd have to look that up. Like Tarak, Dave and Alex, now that the regular season is done, who is the biggest surprise? I would say Jordan Berry. Dude gets cut, comes back, does an awesome job. That's a good candidate for sure. I don't know who I would go with in terms of biggest surprise. Do you have any good surprises, pleasant
I mean, I think
surprises?
Spillane's probably opened
Yeah,
some people's eyes, right?
yeah. Spillane Williamson I think, has done a pretty good job. I mean,
Eh,
Williamson, like, yeah, well, I just in the sense of, I mean, the dude finished fifth on the team in tackles when started 4 games. I know tackles are not the say all end all, but I mean, just given the circumstances, I think he played. It was as advertised, but kudos to him for picking it up pretty quickly.
I
I think
don't guess
Spillane's a better
Tyson.
pick.
I don't guess Tyson
Yeah.
Alualu qualifies because of the season he had the previous season. That
Uh,
was his kind of
I
his
didn't
coming
see
out
I didn't
party.
see this type of season though. I'll be
I
honest.
didn't.
I think that might be my answer.
I mean, it's either Alualu or Spillane or who was the other one?
Barry was what Mike suggested.
Yeah, one of those guys, man. Look, I mean, hats off to Chase Claypool. I didn't think Claypool put to. I mean, you obviously hoped that he would have a good rookie season, and there was not saying that he wasn't worthy or anything. I just didn't see him breaking the rookie the catch record and those kind of things there. Really the only thing that still lacks on him, well, at least we saw it again against the Browns, is him. He stacked another guy on the outside now. So I think
Hmm.
that's like 2 or 3 times this year he stacked somebody on the outside and made the catch off of that there. So I mean it shouldn't be a big surprise, obviously, right? Because you've got a second round draft
Right.
in him, you know. But I'll put it this way: I'm surprised at the numbers he's put up, not the
Yeah.
actual how he's gone about doing, just the volume.
That's a fair way to sum that up. High Grounds asks, based on the last game, what's your evaluation of Mason Rudolph? Future bridge quarterback or just the backup? I would say competent backup as long as you have a pass pro or an offense line that is good in pass pro. Then he's a competent backup. Uh, let's see. ODG Dorkman, did you already address the chance the Steelers lose any coaches? I might have missed it. I don't expect them to lose any significant coaches. I think someone like Blaine Stewart could take a job in college somewhere, maybe a front office piece or two. But no major coaches unless the Steelers let someone go, which I don't know contract statuses and things like that. Let's see. I saw a question here. Mandel Harvey, how's Dobbs? I only saw him get a chance to run. Does he have talent? He has talent. Smart guy, athletic, accuracy on intermediate crossers, those type of things has always been his number one issue. Just general accuracy, especially on those crossing patterns. He's really tended to struggle both in training camp, preseason, and the little bit of regular season action he's received.
He's a number three.
Yeah, that's probably a good way to put it. That's basically what he's been. Let's see. If Harris isn't there, they should draft a tackle. Yeah, I think we'll see tackle pretty high on the list. Tight end could be high on the list. We'll just have to see what the board looks like. It's always unpredictable when you're picking in the mid late 20s, potentially 30s for this team. You never really know how the board's going to go, especially in a kind of crazy draft year like 2021 is going to be. Couple more questions here for Dave and I will answer. Let me
How many
see.
people we have in here tonight?
125. So thank you
Woo!
guys very much. Really appreciate you being here again. We do this stream every Monday, 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern time. We may change things up in the end of the off season and go to every other week or something like that, but we'll figure that out a couple months from now. A lot of comments here. You guys have a lively discussion going on. I'm missing any questions here that worth getting to. Alex Highsmith had a day on defense. This is from Matt Mahoney. Did anybody have a stronger performance than him on either side of the football? Yeah, Highsmith was really good. Did anyone have a better performance than him? I mean, if you're talking just Steelers or Browns, if you're just talking strictly Steelers, I don't know. I mean, he was up there. I was really impressed. He's just stacking, and getting better every single game, which is the best thing you could say for a rookie.
You see what he did to Njoku on that
Uh,
run stuff? I'll put that up on the Twitter machine.
no, I didn't see it.
Yeah, yeah, on that run stuff. I think was that fourth quarter? I can't remember, but
Okay, I'll go back and look at it.
look, he's gotten. I tell you, it has been visible. The maturation not only in his pass rush game, but his play against the run as well too. And that's the kind of look. Does he have warts still? Absolutely, he does. He needs to get stronger first and foremost. He needs to kind of get. I'd like to see him get that kind of that more of that rip, more of that bull to rip, or just something more with power. You know,
Hmm.
in his game there. But man, I think he's going to make that spin his now. We've seen the ghost rush a few times with him. We've seen him dip that shoulder and kind of I don't know, mini rip, I guess. And we've seen him use those, get active with the hands a few times as well too. And seeing him do things against look, but David Njoku's not going to go to the Pro Bowl as a blocking tight end by any stretch of imagination, but he just snatched him right out of the way.
Hmm.
And you want to be able to see these guys. That one of the key things, and that's one of the element. Everybody looks at these outside linebackers and wants to look at the sack numbers and the pressures and the quarterback hits and all. Here's one thing about James Harrison and Bud Dupree in those last several years: very, very good against the run on the outside. And you got to be able, that goes along with playing that position there. So I think just in the last 3 or 4 games alone, I think there's noticeable lines in the sand as far as maturation and putting stuff on tape for Alex Highsmith.
Agreed. Really smart guy. More advanced than a lot of pass rushers coming out, and you're seeing that acceleration, really exponentially week to week.
You know
Jake,
what? You know what?
uh,
TJ Watt would get tired of me.
why is that?
TJ Watt would really have to tell me to go home, or because I would be in his back pocket all
Hmm.
day long if I'm Alex Highsmith. I'm talking, yeah, if TJ Watt, whatever TJ Watt had for lunch, I'm eating the same thing. That kind of thing. Seriously, because
Yeah,
you want to
for sure.
you want to be something. It's best to emulate whatever you have in front of you. And we've heard, if there's one thing that we've heard from Keith Butler countless times throughout this offseason or through this season is the fact that TJ Watt just studies the tape and all like that. So if I'm Alex Highsmith, man, once again, TJ Watt's going to have to tell me, man, you just got to give me some space here, because if he sticks with him, I think those two have a good kind of next couple year future together
Hmm.
here.
I do too. Jason Apricot with a super chat, 99 cents. Thank you so much, Jason. Appreciate it. He says, keep up the great work, Dave and Alex. Really appreciate the support. Jason, got more questions and comments. Micah does so with a good point. Malcolm Smith from the Seahawks is on the Browns. He was the MVP of one of the Super
Mm.
Bowls with Seattle, so that's a guy with some experience.
And
Damian.
he should be back this week.
Hmm.
They missed both their middle linebackers this in Goodson and Malcolm Smith as well too. So they should have both those guys back, and they should have Sendejo back. They were without their top 3 tacklers on that team Sunday against the Steelers.
Is Goodson coming back? I know he was an injury, not illness. I don't know
I
his
don't know.
status. Yeah,
Is he?
I don't know.
Is he not COVID or no?
I thought he was an injury, but I'm not
Maybe he
100%
is.
sure. I know that Smith and Sendejo were COVID. I don't know about Goodson. Damian L., what's up, gents? Thanks for doing these. Is there literally any possible way the Steelers can retain Mike Hilton? I know it's a pipe dream, but would really hate the idea of losing him. It's possible. If you really wanted to sign Mike Hilton and you didn't really care about other guys, you could bring Hilton back, but he's going to cost no less than $7 million per year, probably higher than that. And I just don't have a lot of optimism that this team will re-sign him. I'd be happy if they did, but I'm not counting on it.
And the whole hierarchy usually that the Steelers tend to follow sometimes, would Joe Hayden set to earn $7 million in his final year. I think Steven Nelson a little bit higher than that at 8, maybe 8. What is it, 8-2 or something along 8-1 or 8-2 or something along those lines there. Uh, if Hilton plays the market right, and I mean he could probably get 8, 9 on the open market. Kenny Moore got 7 or 8,
Hmm.
right around in there. Now, does that mean 6 million for Mike Hilton would be a bargain? The Steelers could swing it, but once again, it all boils back down to, people say, can they afford this guy? Can they afford this guy? Well, I got to know what the starting point is, and normally we do in any given season. But obviously, with the COVID and all like that, is it going to be 175 million? Is it going to be 198.2 million? We just don't know. So
Hmm.
obviously, you'd like to try to get him back, but I think Mike Hilton, you know, he's done without for so long. It's time for him to get paid by somebody.
For sure. Someone asked about J.J. Watt coming to Pittsburgh. Not going to happen. As fun as that is interesting and to think about and the idea of it. And had a good stat here from Ivan Santa Maria, who said, I just lost where the stat was. He saw it on NFL Network. No team averaging less than 85 yards per game rushing ever made it to the Super Bowl. Steelers average 84.4. They had their fewest yards rushing in a season since 1966. So, and they played 14 games back then. So, a really bad year for running the football for Pittsburgh. I think that's probably going to do it just about for any questions here just after 8 o'clock. So we'll be back, Dave and I, next Monday, hopefully talking about a Steelers victory. If not, we're talking about the end of the season, what went wrong against the Cleveland Browns. Thank you guys so much for being here, all asking questions and super chats and everything like that. Really do appreciate it. We'll talk to you in a week. And Dave Bryan, as always, thank you for being here as well.
Good job, Alex. I appreciate you having me again. And peace and love to everybody. Thank you for joining us tonight.
If you missed parts of the stream, there'll be an archive up on Steelers Depot, going back up in a little bit. So check out Steelers Depot if you want to see an archive of all or parts of this stream. Thank you guys for being here, and we'll talk to you soon.